And we're back for some talking hockey. We're going to start with the Leafs, as always. They played Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. Always love to see it. They don't play until Thursday, so they get a rest now. They had been the team that had played, I think, the second most games in the division behind Vancouver, but played a lot of games in a couple of nights and now get a nice break, I believe, as they head back home. It should be because it's been a long road trip. But hey, 7-2-1 to start the season is not too shabby. They sit atop of the division, and we're gonna break down a little what happened in that Leafs Oilers game on Saturday night. Max, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Alberta road trip ending pretty well with, I mean, in their last four games, 7 of 8 possible points. But Saturday night against the best hockey player in the world, there's only so much you can do. And Connor McDavid was the story of Saturday night. I mean, that goal might end up being the goal of the year. I I don't I, I don't know when I knew he was going to score, but my perspective of that goal was he got the puck, he started skating through, and right around a second before he blew by Muzzin, I started saying, Jesus fucking Christ. And as I said, Christ, the puck went in the net, but you just knew before he even took the shot that he was going to score. As scary as that goal was, the assist he had in the first was even scarier for me. His feet basically on the red line behind the net on one side, and then he managed to pass it to the other side. I mean, what do you do if you're any goalie but Frederick Anderson? Connor McDavid standing 5 feet away from you gotta hug your goalpost. But then he somehow like sets up his player for an open look like on the goal line. I mean, that was tough. Credit to the Leafs for battling back.
Yeah.
So but
every t- every time he touches the puck, it's a highlight reel worthy, right? He's got another 4 points tonight against Ottawa right now as we speak, and I think three of those coming on the power play. Like the kid is just sick. I apologize. Keep going.
no, it's I mean, credit to the Leafs for battling back. It was a great effort, especially that Marner to Matthews give and go was beautiful, and that one timer or shot by Matthews like on the goal line. Any other game almost that is probably the highlight of the game, but McDavid, I mean, the Oilers were on a 3 game losing streak or something around there. They falling short of where they wanted to be, and they didn't want to make it four. The As soon as the 3-on-3 overtime started, I was kind of resigned to the loss the way McDavid was playing. It was just a feeling that the second the puck that gets on this guy's stick, I mean, if he's winning puck battles 1-on-4, then like how is he not gonna put it away 3-on-3? And Nylander had a chance but couldn't quite do it, and that was all she wrote. Like I said, when the best player in the world wants it that badly, there's only so much you can do, and that was the story of this game. And so far the Oilers are kind of exactly on track for my prediction, at least, where on the backs of McDavid and Draisaitl, they're doing enough. They're hanging in there, but it's not enough 56 games of the season.
Yeah, and I was just happy to get to overtime because Freddie had to make a highlight of the week style save to get us there.
Yeah.
One timer, wide open cage, sprawls across, fantastic.
And
Um,
if you're Mitch
my
Marner and you're feeling a little rough, I don't know if you saw that one. He had a chance to put it away late in the third, but just couldn't quite get the elevation. But
my qualm with overtime was why is Tavares and Nylander going out to start against the McDavid? I'd rather have Matthews and Marner out there. I
it's
think just Matthews matches up better with McDavid in
I
terms of open ice speed.
I don't think anyone matches up with McDavid in open ice speed. I think he scores whoever you put out there against him. I don't really mind. you had your bet one way or the other. Like, okay, you're gonna load your top line, McDavid, Draisaitl. We'll put some guys out there, and then when you have to take those two off, we'll still have like, I guess I'm trying to think of a gun analogy. Like you've got a double-barreled shotgun, we've got like a pistol with a full mag. You've got to stop and reload. We're good to keep firing, but close close range, the double barrel shotgun is going to win. I don't know. I had no optimism or no faith really going into that OT the way McDavid was playing.
Yeah, but we're happy to take the point and move along, especially with the other result of the Saturday night. The Montreal Canadiens get their first regulation loss of the season against the Calgary Flames. Always love it when the Montreal Canadiens lose, so it made the night a little bit better. And that was off the back of a stellar Jakob Markstrom performance. 37 saves on 37 shots, the shutout. The Flames take the 2-0 win. Great performance by him. And yeah, keep the Habs off our tail. That's
Yeah.
always a good thing to see.
I mean, Markstrom early into the season looking like a great Vezina candidate. That's his second shutout of the season, putting up pretty solid numbers in the save percentage department and goals against. I think 4 is the most he's allowed so far. And there was one stretch I remember hearing a stat when the Leafs were playing him that like 4 of the last 5 goals against him had come bouncing off a skate, whether that was friend or foe skate. Uh, talk a lot about that players only meeting Calgary had after their loss prior to this game. But I mean, you brought this up in our last podcast. The struggle of the Flames right now is an offensive one. They are not really getting enough goals. And this win was off a stellar performance of Markstrom. They had 1 goal in 5-on-5 hockey, with the second being an empty netter. So the Calgary woes are not over. What you like about them, though, is that now in every series, multi-game series they've had, except for against the Leafs, they've managed to battle back and win and avenge a loss. I think they've got 2 or 3 against the Jets coming up, who are, I don't have a lot to say about the Canucks Jets game, but we'll get to that in a sec. But the Jets coming off a loss, they no longer have their most offensively gifted player. So if you're a strong defensive team, you've got to like that. And I think every team right now in the league or in the North Division has played every team -1. And for the Calgary Flames, the team they haven't played yet is the Ottawa Senators. So hope on the horizon for Calgary with a regulation win over the till then regulation undefeated Montreal Canadiens. Markstrom looking great. You've got to hope the players are going to start clicking a little more, getting a little more offense, chance to continue what they've been doing and avenging their losses against the Jets. And then I don't know when they get that like 2-3 game matchup against the Senators, but you do what you've continued to do and avenge your losses against the Jets. You get that Senators matchup, and hey, like a week, 2 weeks from now, we might be looking at the Flames at the top of the division.
All right. We'll wrap up our Hockey Night in Canada kind of rundown with the nightcap. The Vancouver Canucks defeating the Winnipeg Jets, the aforementioned Jets, by a score of 4-1. And it was a bit of an offensive onslaught for the Canucks. Max, take it away.
Yeah, Brock Besser now leading the NHL in goals with 8, with 1 empty netter and 1 regulation. Fun bit of trivia: this was the first Vancouver Canucks regulation win in Winnipeg since the 90s, I believe. So nice to get that cherry popped for them. And this is what I was talking about the momentum matchups. They're coming off the back of a tough start to the season, but then they get the Sens back to back, or maybe it was even 3, because I think they're on a 4-game winning streak now. But you get to test out your system and let it flow a little, get the offensive juices running, and then you manage to score 3 goals against Connor Hellebuck, which is no easy task. You've got to be happy with Brock Besser stepping up and taking the lead in goals with Pedersen starting the season a little colder than expected. He did have a great one-time opportunity that off of a Hughes pass that Hellebuck absolutely stonewalled on. But yeah, I mean, probably I don't feel quite as strongly uh, on the optimism case for the Canucks as I do for the Flames, as their hitherto undone matchup is against our Leafs, who are looking red hot, and I'm obviously going to put my money on the Leafs to drill through the Canucks. But momentum flowing for the Canucks. Nice to get that win in Winnipeg. Long time coming. And it was a great hockey night in Canada with the 6 top teams matching up against each other,
Definitely.
which maybe we can step back a little and talk about the division as a whole.
Absolutely. And the thing that I wanted to talk about the division is when I was watching that Leafs Oilers game, I'm used to in the past going, it's all right if this game goes to overtime because they're East team and a West team, and they're both going to get a point and shake hands, and whoever wins the game, that's fine. But a point is really important for both teams in their respective conferences making a run. But now I got to rewire my brain because in that game, I was thinking it's okay if we go to overtime, but it's not because in this division, you only play teams within your division. It's not you're not playing outer division games where the points are less important and teams will play for overtime. You can't do that in this division because every game you play matters, and every game you play could be a 4 point swing one way or the other. Because if you're not winning, the other team is winning, and they're stealing points that you need and moving up in the division standings. And so that is another layer of just emotion, of importance that get added onto these Canadian games because each one of these matters. If you're not getting points, your competitor is, and they're not in another division moving up. They're in your division moving up. And so it's fantastic to watch these games so far, and the implications have been great. And at this rate, I don't see why we wouldn't just keep the Canadian division in the future. And obviously, you'd have your out of division games, but why not keep them all together? Because it's been excellent so far, truly excellent. So much fun.
Yeah, and I think teams traditionally, especially in those East-West matchups, have known that and been willing to take the foot off the gas a little in the last couple minutes of the third period. Like, okay, we'll each give each other a point and then duke it out in triple OT in OT. But you watching the Leafs Oilers games, you didn't see that. I mean, I mentioned that Marner chance. Then the Leafs, in the last minute of the third, were looking to generate something offensively, and the pressure caused them to, I think it was Muzzin who stumbled, and then the Oilers almost put it away. So you're seeing teams put their foot on the gas a little harder, I think, at the end of the third than they typically would. And the last thing, I sort of hinted at this talking about the Flames, but there's been a lot of parity in that top 6 so far. Other than the Leafs Flames matchup, I think there haven't really been any series that have happened over 2 games, none over 3 games, where one team has run away with all 3 wins in the top 6. That is, we're not including the Sens. It does hurt a little that their only win has come over the Leafs, but yeah, it's so. I mean, that's what you love about hockey, and that you don't know if the goalie is going to stand on his head. You don't know how the puck's going to bounce. You don't know if the star player is going to be able to put it on their stick the right way. And you see so much parity in the game, and you're seeing that really play out in the division with the teams having to work so hard every night, and you have no idea what's going to happen and who's going to come away with it, except that Ottawa's not going to come away with it. And I'm loving this Canadian division. I'm not very optimistic about hanging on to it, but man, I mean, I, I'm so excited for the next time the Leafs play the Flames. Like, how are we going to try and get under to Chuck's skin next time? And Yeah, I'm loving this matchup. When next time the Leafs and the Habs go together, they kicked off the season against each other, and right now they're the top two teams in the division. So that's going to be just a little extra fuel on the fire. I'm like I said at the start of this podcast, there are some silver linings in the sporting world with COVID, and this Canadian division might be the biggest one.